will lead now. Follow.
Well, looks like we might have been everywhere. Alright, let's head back. Let's look at a journal. Alright, we have discovered a portfolio of Zhentarim military plans. You have folded the most important of these documents into your journal. It seems as though the Zents here were refugees from Darkhold, which has fallen to other forces. It is still unclear what they were doing in the region, but it seems likely that scouting was a part of it. We also encountered a mercenary named Marcellus, known to Ianth, who told us that he had been hired by Bane-worshipping Zhentarim to kill a Cyric worshipper we slew to get the portfolio. We had done his job for him, though he did not seem particularly cheerful. We should report our findings to Hamfast. Okay, sharp swords. Okay, so let's go back to Hamfast. Let's see, were we in this area? Oh, well, we weren't over here. Oh, some boars. Don't we have to kill a boar? Maybe these aren't the right ones, but...
It was a mistake to challenge me.
Alright, broadcast command, attack nearest. Alright, let's start using some spells here. Actually, will sleep work on these things? I don't know. Burning hands. Roast some pig.
Death is come.
Oop, I gotta use some healing. And oh, he's out of healing potions. Let's split the rest of these. Oh, that's right, we need to find some damn plants too. Bloodstaunch. Bloodstaunch. You have a good eye, Pelor. There's a good amount here. I will harvest a bit. But you are free to gather some as well. A sprig can temporarily lend health to its user, but be careful, it wears off far too quickly. Attempt to harvest. You botched the attempt. Alright, so back to Hamfast. Alright. Swords Keep, main level. Let's talk to Hamfast, see what's going on.
Greetings.
What is it you need? Tell Hamfast about the Zhentarim military portfolio, the apparent fall of Dark Lord, and your encounters in North Dark Wood. My, this is serious. Even though their plans seem to have nothing to do with our own, it makes me uneasy. Even if we were not a target, we could end up being casualties of whatever trouble they're going to cause. And trouble there will be, mark my words. We certainly got more than we bargained for, Pelor. Yes, but I do not regret it. I feel as if the adventure has only just begun. Perhaps so. I, for one, would not be against pursuing this further. I can't quite quite place it, but I feel as if something is still wrong. We have killed many Zentarum, but I do not feel as if I am any closer to figuring out why. Why did it have to be Manfred? Ah, Vronin, you are grieving. It is not always up to those of us who continue to live to question why those have passed. There is never any sure answer, but I respect your feelings. Gosham is right, Vronin. I understand what you're feeling, but you did what you needed to do. You can't take on all of Zentarum, dispersed or no. Manfred's death was senseless and cruel, but nothing we can discover will change that. Aye, these are big doings, bigger than any of us. Still, I can't help but wonder if we ought to do something. I agree, both for Vronin's sake and for the sake of all. We need to investigate the Zentarum presence further. Well, good. I intend to speak to Danmar the innkeeper, you know, about this, since you want to help, and because you're the ones with the news, maybe you ought to join in. Come to my house, right next to the inn, when you are ready. My wife, Sarah, has a pheasant soup that will fill your bellies, and some fresh squash from the lowlands. And before I forget, here's some gold for your work. It's not much, but it's about all we can afford. The reward is not necessary, Hamfest. I thank you for the gesture, though. Well, suit yourselves. You are very welcome, and I am grateful. We are not in a very rich settlement. As I said, we will meet at my house when you are ready. Until then, farewell. 500 experience points. Alright, so it looks like we're going to head on over to Hamfest's house and get introduced to his wife. So let's go. Alright, I think it's this house. Let's go there next. And here we are. Sarah. Ah, welcome. Do come in. Do come in. You must be Peldor. Hamfest told me to expect you. I'm Sarah. The door slams, and Hamfest and Danmar enter the house, deep in conversation. Ah, Peldor. I have not had so many guests in my home for some time. It's too bad that the occasion is so gloomy. But the fire here is warm, and Sarah's cooking good. Let us eat and then discuss our troubles. I am most pleased, my gracious host. Aye, there's a time for foes and fire, and a time for food and friends. I would agree, it is not courteous to refuse one's host when their table is so near, and not wise when the food smells so heavenly. You do me much honor, Mistress Lyanth. Nay, an adventurer's hostess can never be too much honored. My thanks for preparing this meal for us, milady. It does smell quite good in here. I don't believe Peldor and I have had a decent meal for many months. If we could dine on talk, Danmar, we'd be fat men. I see that everyone else is ready. Let's eat.
Yes, they finished it in just 3 days.
And it was a good deal.
Sarah sets the table with a savory pheasant roasted with apples and glazed with buckwheat honey, squash, and a filling crusty bread with ample cream and butter. We have not eaten so well for some time.
They do wonderful.
Danmar the innkeeper is lively conversationalist, and when he is not downing the wine he provided for the meal, he is telling a story about his adventures along the Sword Coast, or a love affair he had with a girl of a prudish Winterhavian noble house, or a tale with fanciful incidents and convoluted plots, all, he claims, the accidents of his wanderlust-driven youth, a youth that seems as remote from his old age as the loud sea is from the lonely crag of drawn swords. While the table is being cleared, you return to the kitchen to discuss the business at hand. Danmar clears his throat and turns to you quite suddenly. It takes more than a fire and an eye to fight one's way through a Zentarum encampment, and to live to tell the tale. It takes talent. Not an acknowledgment of Danmar's compliment. What he means to say is that he is grateful for the observation. With a twinkle in his eye, nay, I think he said that he had to say clearly enough, Ian. You should know that I have dispatched one of the guards of the Sword and Dragon, the elf Revelian, to Corm Orp with the news of what you learned from the portfolio. It may be that we are behind the times here, and that Corm Orp already knows of the loss of Darkhold. You have certainly noticed the Zhentarim spreading out through Sunset Vale. I myself have known that there has been trouble in the Sunset Mountains for some time. The orcs seem to be leaving them in droves, perhaps for the same reason the Zhents left Darkhold. I do hope that Revelian returns swiftly. Sheila Periroy's church in Cormort may need me. Revelian will return in a few days. I hope perhaps earlier, perhaps later. He is fleet of foot, but the road is likely choked with obstacles. In the meantime, the documents you shared with me indicate one other Zhentarim camp in the immediate area. Yes, if you are willing, we would like you to attempt to infiltrate this one as well. What's so special about this camp? This camp represents the northernmost limit of Zhentarim presence. It is also apparently the location of a Bay Knight general, one who would probably have more information regarding both why the Zhentir left Darkhold and more specifics about future plans. His name is Clytus, a wicked tyrant of a man, according to reports. I just can't figure out why they are so dispersed. They are strewn up and down the valley like leaves. Wisdom check. Indeed, it seems as if having a number of different units deployed over 100 miles leaves them extremely vulnerable to guerrilla tactics like ours. Very true. I am impressed. It is a problem that makes no sense to me either. I do know that Zhentarim of Darklord are a factious lot. Ever since the Dark Lord Bane was reborn, those who worship Cyric have been at odds with those who worship Bane. Whoever forced him out almost certainly took advantage of the rivalry. Zhento Keep must be gnawing at its own heart for not curbing the Cyrus' presence in Darkhold sooner. But this is all speculation. Perhaps your efforts, or the news Revelian brings back, will make all clear. In a lower tone, and despite the fact that you are not in a public place, you should also know that I have certain connections that are very interested in your progress, and in your talents. Connections? What do you mean? I hope I haven't spoken prematurely. I simply can't say more at the moment, but I speak of friends. What must we do then? The camp is in the Backlands, about 20 miles north of here. The Backlands do not lend themselves as easily to subterfuge as the woods do, so infiltration might simply mean assault. Regardless, the force is relatively small and weak, according to the documents. General Claudius, however, might be difficult to kill, though killing him, I should say, would be a great boon to us. Return to Hamfast once you have done this. Will you tell me nothing more of the connections you mentioned a moment ago? No. My wine turned traitor on me and loosened my tongue too soon. You'll know in time. Very well. We will seek out this general and whatever information we can. Before you go, Brother Anselm, who could not make it this evening, told me that you should speak to him before leaving. He has a small token of thanks to pass on to you, and some important words he said he must express to you in person. Good night. Aye, good night. And a cutscene. What a meal that was! It was almost as epic as our adventures together, Paldor. So it was. I do love squash. It's a pity one can't have it year-round. That, a pound of butter, and a hogshead of that wine, which, I must say, has made me slightly more muddle-headed than I am used to. There's a pillow in the inn with my name on it. I knew you were embroidering something. Roman wobbles as he speaks. To tell the truth, I'm also feeling a little tipsy from the wine. Off to bed with me. When that I was a little boy, with hi-ho the wind and rain. Gosum begins to sing too. A foolish thing was but a toy, for the rain it raineth every day. I think I shall have a taste of the night air before I turn in. Perhaps you will allow me to join you for a moment. It would do me no harm. You have been quieter than usual since our encounter in North Dark. You must understand I did not expect to see Marcellus back in the forest, and in such circumstances. Last time I saw him was in Tethir. Two of you were lovers? You are so frank. No, but would it surprise you to hear that I had feelings for him once? I suppose not. What happened between the two of you? A look of sorrow passes over Ian's face. If only to tell the tale were as easy as that, but in a sense, there is no tale to tell. You must have done something horrible if you feel this way. Horrible? No. It is not as easy as that. Despite what he seems to be now, he has not wronged me, though my heart might say otherwise. But please, let me have a few minutes on my own. Ian turns from you and gazes out over the shadowy blacklands. She evenly returns to the inn, and the night passes quietly. Alright, back at the inn.